This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then my combine my name for the Google search for my site. Adam,
You
I'm going to
combine
lock
Tom
this.
Duty in a Google search for your site.
Yeah, Adam, I'm going to lock this on me, which means Google will not automatically flip to you. If you want to be seen, then let me know. But right now we're looking at the ceiling of your car, and I think the Hoboken terminal is probably preferred.
Sounds good to me.
So, Adam, I'm going to set this up. And then I'm just going to let you talk. I don't really think I have much to add to this, but two relevant things happened this week that are completely independent, though related. And I know you've seen this many times in your industry. However, what you experienced this week, you are seeing for the first time. Now, what I experienced with a client this week, I know you've experienced hundreds of times. So I'm going to describe mine first. There is a man in Philadelphia who has the same name as a very famous alcohol cocktail, and his name is not Mr. Gin and Tonic, so it's the other one. And this
Mr.
man,
Margarita?
this man, uh, he just knows everything about credit and credit repair, and quite honestly, I just think I think as his mother would say to him, as I want to say, you got too smart for your own good. He has a judgment, and he was referred to us with a judgment already in place, and that when I told him after talking to you, Adam, that hey, this judgment, even though it's 2009, it still has the potential to freeze your bank account. Now, if you're in Pennsylvania, they can't garnish your wages. They already tried to do a share of sales, so really the only thing left is to freeze your bank account. The only reason they haven't done this, Mr. Cocktail, is because they haven't done it. And then I could just tell by the tone of the conversation it ended abruptly, and he has no interest in continuing to talk to me. This is kind of the way people face reality sometimes. When they don't like the voice of reality, they they silence it. So that's fine. We've lost this guy, and the services of your company, Adam, could have served this guy, but he doesn't seem to want to consider what's
We could
happening.
have we could have saved him about $1,500 and gotten this off his record.
Yeah, and also, extinguish this possibility that they could suddenly freeze his bank account. He is banking in his.
Oh, they will. They will freeze his bank account at some point. A judgment is good for 20 years in Pennsylvania. They
Yeah.
have 20 years at which to freeze his bank account. And
So, Adam, Adam,
don't think
it's kind of.
monitoring it for a time when there's plenty of money in there, and that's when they'll seize it.
So, Adam, it's kind of strange that a 2009 judgment here you say they will freeze it. If they will, why haven't they? What are they waiting for?
Of course, Mr. Cocktail probably has $600 in his bank account. So what's the point?
So really, they look at the balance and say, no, not now.
Correct. They can do that. They have the
Wow.
discretion to do that. Call
Wow.
the skip trace, and they're allowed to look at how much is in the account, and they're allowed to freeze up to twice as much as is owed to them.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give a brief summary of the other one. Now you have a client. Identify him or her in some way that is generic but descriptive.
Just call her the spa owner.
The spa owner. The spa owner borrowed some money from a merchant account. I think we can say the company name, right? The merchant company.
I'm not going to mention the
That's
merchant
fine. That's
company,
fine.
but I
So
am gonna. When you're done, I'm going to talk a little bit about merchant lending.
okay. So merchant lending is it's fair to say is predatory lending, high interest rate. People who aren't qualifying for loans in any other way, their business can borrow money and borrow money now, like in a click. It's immediate money, bang, it's in your checking account. It
It's
saves
basically a payday loan for businesses.
payday loan for business. So buried in this contract is a phrase that has now been activated by this merchant lending company, and it has caused a disaster. And let me just put these two events together before you talk. Mr. Cocktail is a consumer. He's like anyone else. Adam's had 100 of these. It happens to be my first. However, this other one is quite a specialty case. It's a business loan, it's a merchant loan, and it's this buried phrase in a contract that has come back to sting and sting hard. The only thing related about these two and why we're talking about them now is they're both related to the power of what secured debt can be, especially when it's secured and people don't know it's secured, because that's what's happened in both of these cases. Mrs. Spa does not know it's secured. Suddenly they did things like they can only do with secured debt. And Mr. Cocktail wants to believe that judgments are just sort of harmless and it'll go
wait till
away.
he files for a tax return.
Right. So Adam, I will leave that with you. You pick up on both of them and go where you want with it.
Mr. Cocktail said real quick here. Mr. Cocktail does not understand the power of the U.S. court system. A judgment secures whatever debt you had. It doesn't matter if it was unsecured. Doesn't matter if it was sold for 1 penny on $10,000. The full amount of the loan is now secured by the court system, and the attorney firm that sued him on behalf of the original creditor, not a collection agency. So the original creditor is still holding the debt and able to collect on it at their will.
So Adam, I know why you picked up pennies. Expand a little more. Why are you using this? It doesn't matter what it's transferred for. Why is this relevant?
All right, let's go over this. Credit card debt is, in fact, invariably unsecured debt. It means that you didn't have to promise anything to the credit card company to get their card, other than you would make your monthly payments. However, when you don't make your monthly payments, they take that contract and they go to court, and the court says, well, now this is secured by us. The U.S. court system says you must pay them back what you owe them. At that point, the creditor has the right to freeze your bank account. In most states, not all, they can garnish your wages for the money. They can freeze your tax return. They can seize your assets or your 401k. They cannot seize an IRA at this point, but that may change soon. There are laws going through that may allow them to seize an IRA shortly. So, for these people who think they don't have to worry about an unsecured debt, that is completely untrue.
Right.
Now, on to the spa owner. The spa owner, like a lot of businesses, needed capital, could not get it from the banks because the banks are not lending, and found one of these wonderful, and I say that incredibly sarcastically, a merchant loan company looks at two and the amount you make via credit card swipe. Every time you pay a credit card, analyze how much you need on your credit card per day on average. And they'll give you a loan provided you pay them a certain daily from your credit card swipes. And if your swipes are not high enough, then by ACH directly from your bank. But the payments are due daily, and that is horrific.
Right.
It leads to catastrophic results, because if you have no business for 2 days, then your savings for your business is being wiped out quickly.
Right.
And all businesses go through slumps. Now, most lenders do not secure their debt. However, it's becoming commonplace now, because a lot of people defaulted and just closed their business. It is becoming commonplace to put in a catch security phrase deep buried inside their 28-page contract. Hello?
Yeah, say more, Adam. So Adam, you didn't say this directly, but I want you to say it if it's right. You believe that this is inconspicuous and hiding it is deliberate. They don't want the people to know it's secured, but yet they secure it. It
Correct.
Yeah.
That is absolutely correct. In the case of the spa owner, she signed up for our program. She signed a contract that stated that her debt was in fact unsecured, when in reality she hadn't read her whole contract and it was secured. So what ended up happening was she made a payment into our program. We got started sending out our legal notices to say she's represented, and her accounts to her business were all shut down and frozen.
Right.
Because they were secured under the Uniform The UCC, which is the Uniform California Business Code.
Right.
Uniform California Code.
So, Adam, if I were to make this sound like a sales pitch, which I'm not going to do because I know it's prohibited, but yet, if I were to describe what I'm distracted, you can't see what I'm looking at right now, but they seem really interested in me. If you were to shit. Um, I lost the train of thought, Adam. You just pick up.
Well, first of all, you're popular because you're a debt dissolver in the public eye.
Adam, I remembered where I am. Okay, so consumers have learned, everybody knows if you let your debt go delinquent, it's going to be the easier to pay off if you position yourself to pay it off, if you remain motivated and financially capable of paying it off. That's a good thing. Your debt is now getting cheaper. However, you would say that these lawsuits are getting would you say more common and more aggressive?
Definitely more common. I wouldn't say more aggressive. A credit
Okay.
card going to
Oh,
court.
okay. Take the first one though. More common. What would you say? How much more common?
Since 2009, when the financial collapse.
Hello. All right. Adam dropped. He didn't have much time today. I've been distracted by this. Oh, yeah, he was in view. These two police seem to be moving people out of here, and I thought I was going to be the next one. But since I'm standing, they seem to be leaving me alone. I'm going to buy a little bit of time here to see if Adam's coming back. I'll try to summarize this thing myself if. Yeah, yes, Adam. Adam. So Adam's trying to call me back. It's just not going to work. So I'm going to summarize this thing. The net is Adam and I independently, but very related to his business. Let me just tell him. Had these two events this week. In both cases, people, in one case a business owner, a spa owner, in the other case a consumer, underestimated the risk that they take by letting unsecured debt become secured. So again, everybody knows that if you let it go delinquent, unsecured debt, it's going to get cheaper, a lot cheaper, and fast. However,
I hit a dead zone and it disconnected us.
Okay, so I was kind of trying to summarize, Adam. So why don't you pick up though where you left off? I thought you were on a good track.
What was the last thing you remember me saying?
Well, I was just explaining that consumers, everybody knows that if you let unsecured debt go delinquent, it's going to get cheaper. So if you remain positioned and motivated to pay, you're going to be able to pay it off for less. However, people take risks of lawsuits, and those lawsuits are getting, you agreed, more frequent. And I wanted you to pick up.
That's what I was explaining. Since 2009, which is where I got cut off, a lot of banks have taken a humongous hit on people who could not repay their debt. Remember, more than 13 million workers were either laid off or displaced during the financial collapse.
Yeah.
Incomes were disrupted, therefore their payments to creditors were disrupted. Creditors have gotten more staunch about it because they lost so much money during that financial collapse, so much income on a regular basis every 30 days, that they now rush to court to secure their unsecured debt to make sure that they don't get screwed the same way as they did back in 2009.
Okay, so they are suing more often.
Now, I don't want to sound like an advertisement either. This is not a sales pitch, but that's why it is so important to have professionals help you through this process.
Right.
Now, anybody can go open a savings account and put $60, $160, $400 away every week and wait for a letter from their creditors offering a settlement and pay them. But not every creditor does that. Some of them, the letter you'll receive will be a summons to court.
Adam, and again, the placement of our videos on YouTube is alongside other videos that are quite dated. These companies have figured out how to get their videos high ranked, and they did it some time ago, and somehow Google and YouTube are leaving those old videos with high rankings, even though they're old. And some of them are giving dated advice.
Old, right, they're way outdated because you do not have the opportunities you used to have to negotiate on your own with these companies.
Right.
These companies are now better trained to make you angry and upset when you try to negotiate with them to the point where you end up hanging up and they still end up suing you.
Right.
They don't want to negotiate. They will. I still settle debt anywhere between 20 and 40% on average. We had several today that settled in that zone. But you have to know how to not let emotion play a part in it. It's very hard to do when you're the debtor.
Right, right. All right, Adam. It's Friday. It's Hoboken. I don't know if you noticed this, but the police dog is what got me distracted, and they suddenly became more interested in a woman who was sitting on the floor and less interested in me who was standing. So, and the police dog has left with its owner. So,
well, what you're doing is perfectly legal, and they will eventually leave you alone. They just wanted to know what you were doing, standing there holding a laptop with a big headset on your head.
Yeah, I know, but the laptop is on my bucket, which attracts even more attention. It's an orange Home Depot bucket. These people that are leaving, the surge of people here are people that just got off a ferry. So, Adam, anything else you want to? You kind of did the spa owner quickly. You want to say anything else about the spa owner? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I do want to say something about the spa owner in relation to my company, which is when we did discover that this was a secured loan and that they had frozen her accounts, we immediately gave her back 100% of the money she put into our company. And I mean 100%. We charged her nothing for any of the service we had already performed, including sending a professional notary to her to go over the contract. We gave her a complete refund, and our in-house attorney wrote a letter to her creditor stating that this was all in error and they want to cure the default and go back to normal paying status, which is being done. We contacted her company. We made this case to the company she owes the money to, and they are willing to let her go back to her regular payment schedule.
Yeah. So what's your lesson going forward? How do you make sure? I mean, this is sneaky, Adam. They hid this security phrase, secured debt phrase in a very long document. How are you going to check them? How are you going to be more careful?
Well, the sales office that is doing merchant lending, specifically, that's what they do, has now hired someone to be their underwriter. That underwriter's job is going to be to read the entire contract before they submit any deals to us.
Yeah. So, Adam, most of the debt, this is only a situation for merchant debt. This is not all the Chase, the Bank of America. That's not at risk of changing. Am I correct?
No, credit cards will not change. They cannot change. They have very strict federal regulation on them. These merchant loans, however, if they were to consumers, they'd be out of business already. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau would shut them down like they did payday loans.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and let me put out a specific decree while we're here. Anyone who may be listening to these talks who has a payday loan and is having trouble paying it off, you need to call our offices. Payday loans are illegal in about 99% of cities and states in the country. They are set up in such a way that they are not legal any longer. Most states have banned them, and if your loan is more than $500, it's likely illegal in your state. Please give
Adam,
us a call. We can definitely
Adam,
help.
I have a sense payday loan is jargon you use among professionals. What else do consumers know these as?
Oh, they're called payday loans. They're called personal cash advances. Pretty much that's what they're called. Lending club advances. Most of them, it's not professional jargon. Payday loans are what people call them.
Okay, and what are some of the big companies that? What would a sales pitch be like? This would come via telemarketing, probably.
No, it would go by a Google search.
Oh, okay.
People go online looking for payday loans, thinking a payday. Let me explain a payday loan because it's kind of important that people understand this. A payday loan is what Montel Williams advertises on TV all the time. Are you short? Do you need to fix your car? Don't have enough spare cash to do it? Call us and we can get you up to $1,000 by tomorrow. That's a payday loan. They expect you to pay that $1,000 back within 2 weeks. If you do not pay it back within 2 weeks, they charge you $250 as a fee to re-up the loan for another 2 weeks. Now, anyone who's short that kind of money usually will never have the whole $1,000 ready to go in one shot. And they're depending on that. And they will continue for up to 5 years charging you $250 every 2 weeks to re-up your loan. It is an incredible scam. And there have been laws passed in just about every single state prohibiting these types of loans, the length of time they're allowed to renew them, and capping the interest rates they're allowed to charge. Normally, the interest rate on a payday loan is 455% per year.
That's one of the highest I've ever heard. 455%.
No, that's not the highest. That's the average. The highest I've ever seen on a payday loan was 1,112% per year.
So a dollar becomes 1,000 in a year.
Correct. They're not supposed to go beyond 2 weeks.
Right.
I may lose you in a moment.
Please select the desired club option by pressing the service button.
All right, Adam. I'll just wrap up. I just thought with those two events this week, and they were kind of related in some ways, completely independent. In other ways, I wanted to be sure we got this in. So Friday from Hoboken. I'm going to wrap up. I'll give your contact information at the end. You can stay or drop, Adam. Your choice.
Oh, wait, I didn't hear that. I'm kind of in a high noise area at the moment.
I'm going to close and then give your contact information. So I think we did what I wanted to do.
Okay.
All right. Ciao, amigo. Ciao from Hoboken to the Great North American Desert. Ciao.
Ciao from the Great North American Desert.
There's Sky Harbor International. This has been Adam Strom. Adam is a founding partner of Financial Rescuers. Adam has been doing what he's doing now since 2009, and it's increased in complexity. It's increased in volume. The more clients he gets, the more aggressive the banks get at demanding their money, the more resourceful Adam has to get in representing his clients. And what we covered today is two different examples of one is a potential lawsuit, and the other is secured debt that nobody knew was secured. It had been hidden. Adam's website is financialrescuers.com. His number is 866-516-1985. That's a number that I answer for him 8 hours a week. Those are the morning hours when it's reasonable time for humans to be awake in New York, but not so reasonable in the western part of this country. So that's, again, 866-516-1985. And Adam's phone number, Adam's website is financialrescuers.com. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, or restful night's sleep. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. I thought you were still there. Adios, amigo. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Adios.